welcome along people. I'll do my proper intro in a moment. I just need to get... damn it, what am I doing? I'm pressing something on my phone, sorry, I shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't be trying to multitask, because I'm not very good at that. Right, let me get the link share now. So we're live from the Red Bull Ring for round 6 of the GT3 League. I wish I could do it so that this does it automatically for me. That'd be great. It'd save me like 30 seconds at the start of every single stream. Get that in. Paste that. Right, get back to my Twitch chat. Let's go. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, so we're wet and we're wild from Spielberg here in Austria. And this is the Team Oliver Racing GT3 League. This is the Pro-Am category. There is also a Pro category where the aliens live. And that's all being streamed live over on YouTube by the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dark Smoker. So he'll be guiding you through the action in the Pro lobby. They're doing the exact same thing as we are tonight. They're also doing the Red Bull Ring. They're also doing GT3 cars. They just have a different set of drivers in there. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you look in the description, there is going to be a link to Dark Smoker's stream, so you can head over there and watch that. There will also be links in there to Mature Racing Club's Facebook page, and the We Are Driven Initiative Facebook group as well, which I would heavily encourage you to go and join, just so you can keep up to date with the latest news, goings on and initiatives from the sim racing community as we work together to join forces, raise awareness, support and funds for causes close to our heart. So in line tonight then, we do have some good action for you. So we're here at the Red Bull Ring. We're going to have 2 races tonight. As you can tell, we've got a wet start to the proceedings tonight. So we're going to have qualifying in the wet, and we're going to have a 15-lap race in the wet as well. And then race 2, we forecast better conditions for race 2. The weather radar saying that it shouldn't be raining for race 2 by the time we get round to it. Obviously we'll see what the weather's doing by the time we get there. Listening while working, Twiggy, I love it, mate, I love it. Hopefully your job doesn't involve listening to people, or I may feel guilty. Who am I kidding? No, I won't at all. Just a little bit of news for you, by the way, before I do start going through this fully, because Potter's just doing his room set thing. Not Potter, Cutler, sorry. I'm going to be looking to get some stickers. Let me just wait till the guys are at the pits, because it gets very loud. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to look to get myself some stickers. These will be small stickers that are aimed just to be stuck to rigs and all that sort of stuff. These will be free of charge. They won't be. I won't be charging people for these. So if you're interested in one of those, keep an eye out on socials, the Facebook and Instagrams. There will be posts when I receive them. I'm also looking to potentially get my name put on a real life race car, not with me driving it. One of the chaps that I commentate over on a different league drives in a Ford Focus Cup, and he said that if I can get him a decal over there, it'll stick it on the race car for me. So again, that's just a weird bit of publicity I'm going to get. So who knows? You know, we might have random people watching us that have watched some real life racing and have seen my name on a car. Who knows? We'll see. That's qualifying then. We've got 15 minutes. We'll run you through who we've got in the lobby, so who you can look out for. Obviously, wet conditions For qualifying, we'll be carrying these conditions into the race as well, because the race starts straight afterwards and the rain is showing no signs of easing here in Spielberg. And the weather radar shows this almost constant drizzle for the next, well, for the remainder of this race, to be brutally honest. So we've got Phil G in the room. He's going to be the first one to put a lap together for us, and we've got Slow Seamus in the Audi. MRC Buddy's here in the Mustang. Quinn is here in the Mercedes. Lucky Bucky also in a Mercedes. These cars should go quite well in the wet, with them being naturally aspirated. They haven't got a sudden input of torque from a turbocharger, so that nice balanced delivery of power does tend to go in their favour. Same for D-Dot in the Chevrolet, although that he's got to get the front end working on that car. It should be good round here, but getting that front end turning on Chevrolet at the minute might be difficult. Cutler's here also in a Mercedes. We have Britsburg in the Aston Martin. That's going to be a bit of an unknown quantity because there's a lot of weight over that front axle, but the rear axle that's doing all the work might yeah, it might have fun in that one. Ace Killers, aka Juco, current championship leader in the Mercedes coming into this round. He's out there doing qualifying at the minute. Sean in the McLaren, hoping to emanate the success of the real life McLaren F1 team over the weekend. He's in the 650S GT3 tonight, so we'll see what he can put together for us. Then Diablo's in another Mustang. Gwyn is in a Jag. We've got Sonic Racer also in a Jag, and last but by no means least, Rob Scott in the other Chevrolet, still doing his outlap, so he'll probably not get as many laps in as everyone else. Meanwhile, Phil G got to be the first one to set us a time tonight, so we'll see what the timing board says, and we'll basically see who's got what. So Phil G gets us underway on a 39.5. No idea how good that is, but it's going to be faster than Slow Seamus, who gets us in with a 41.7. MRC Buddy in the 42s. Big gathering here between Lucky Bucky, D-Dot. D-Dot actually temporarily put it second until Britsburg put it in P2 in the Aston Martin. So that V12 Aston Martin working nicely here at Spielberg so far tonight. He is just a second though off the pole time. Phil G with the early pace, really fast tonight. Diablo also in the Mustang with a 40.7 setting good times. D-Dot then pushed down to 4th with those 2 times set. Slow Seamus at the minute is occupying that 5th place position. The Audi similar to the Mercedes. The only problem the Audi is going to have is with it being what we call an MR car. So typically these MR cars do suffer in the rain, just because they have a tendency to kick the back end out on them. So Slow Seamus is going to have difficulty. Of course, with this championship, traction control is prohibited, so the car's fitted with no assists other than standard ABS systems. So the only assist they have is with braking. Lucky Bucky then, 41.9 for Lucky Bucky in the Mercedes. Gwyn on a 41.9 as well in the Jag. So the Bop is working out quite well in the rain. Sonic Racer 42.0 for Sonic Racer, so the other Jag in P8. Then MRC Buddy in the Mustang, 42.3 for him. Monsieur Cutler, who is currently going off-roading into the gravel traps, doing a Lewis Hamilton visit to the gravel in the rain. He's in 10th for the minute, with Quinn in 11th in the other Mercedes. Surprise at the minute is Duco, 42.6. Now, was he in that gaggle of cars? Would he maybe have got impeded on his lap? He's about to do another time, so we will just keep an eye on him. Gets a lot of tail happiness coming out of the final corner. It's not going to be an improved time. It's 43.2. So for some reason at the minute, Duco, the championship leader, is currently residing last out of all the set times, and the only person to set a time is this man, Mr. Rob Scott in the Chevrolet. Let's keep an eye on his time, actually, see what he's doing. Of course, he's setting personal best set to times, but those set to times he's setting aren't far away from an overall best as well, especially set to 1. He really put that first sector together. Of course, the first sector is 1 corner. But with that 1 corner being followed by an uphill straight, getting a good exit out of that corner is pretty critical. So 39.5 to beat for the Chevrolet, plus 40.0, which puts him half a second off the pole time there in a solid P2 position. So first, second and third separated by a second, so there is quite a gap at the top, but then those gaps really do start to shrink. once you get a little bit further down. Mr. Hunter, oh mate, you absolute G-unit. Mr. Anthony Hunter subscribed, used his Amazon Prime Twitch subscription on my good self. Thank you very much for that. I'm not going to read your comment because this is a PG stream, but I appreciate it all the same, my mate. Yeah, one way you can support the stream is for free, of course, without paying any extra, is if you have an Amazon Prime subscription. You can use Twitch Prime to subscribe to the channel. It gives me a little bit, and it doesn't cost you anything. You get one Twitch subscription free with your Amazon Prime account if you have it. Of course, don't feel under any obligation to do so. I'll be here whether you subscribe or not. It's just nice that some people choose to. Since when are you PG? Since this league's sponsored, that's the only reason. It's the only reason, because like some big dogs might end up watching it, and then these big dogs might then decide to pay me to do this. So you know, I need to be nice. I'm good, mate. I'm very. Now the gyms are back. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a noticeable like uplift in my tone. I've got rid of a lot of the pent-up anger and aggression, and I'm smashing the gym all the time. So yeah, I'm in a lot better place, honey. Now, hope you are too. I know you have had your struggles as well, my pedigree chum, and you know my inbox is always open. Oh, we've got a slow Seamus facing the wrong way there. That Audi's obviously had an issue somewhere. I don't have replay function in quali mode, so unfortunately I can't. Well, fortunately for Seamus, I can't go back and see what happened. Let's have a look at Phil G then. He's going to come around and set us a time in a minute. He's set at 39.5. That was early doors. He's not improved on that so far, and his last corner left a lot to be desired. Can he improve on it though? It's 39.7, so it's a very good lap, and one may argue, would he have beaten the 39.5 he's already set had he got a tidier exit out of the final corner? We will actually jump on board for a lap. We'll pick someone to go on a lap with actually in a moment, and I'll show you why it's so difficult here in the wet conditions. We might just wait for Phil G to come round again. It doesn't look like he's going to pit. Oh, nice. Yeah, I need to pick up a set, of course. Sonic Racer goes second. 40.0. I missed that completely. The Jag really working tonight on those wet weather tyres, drifting his way around turn 1, but displaces Rob Scott from the front row of the grid by 8 thousandths of a second. Rob, can he do anything about that? Can he get that Chevrolet into the 39s and start to compete with Phil G up at the top of the leaderboard? He's not going to do it this time around. It's going to be 40.2. Britsburger and Aston Martin still holding on to 4th. Cutler has made an improved time. He's up to 5th now. Let's jump back to Phil G. He's about to finish this lap, so let's jump on board with Phil. Let's get a driver's roof perspective on a lap here at Spielberg. 39.4 improves his time by 1.5 tenths. So up into turn 1 then, you really need to hook this up to guarantee a good lap. You can ride the curb even in the wet conditions, but you really don't want to go too far out wide. The painted surfaces on the outside of that corner, not too kind even with the full wet weather tyres on. This turn here coming under the bridge is officially turn 2, but no one really acknowledges it. Turn 3 then, the prime overtaking opportunity here at the Spielberg circuit, and in the wet conditions a very treacherous exit. Drivers need to be really careful when putting the power down. They will have been tweaking that in the setup with their engineers through the week, just making sure that the torque settings on the differentials are correct. Down into the downhill braking zone, then braking about 125 metres slowly through the gearbox, avoiding the curbs there, Phil. That's probably just to make sure he's got maximum traction. Another area where your car can start to wash out wide, and you just hold the brake pretty much the entire way through the corner and just make sure you're not washing too far out. Another corner, this one, when you come through the S's, it's the exit of the S's that really gets you. The car goes light here for some reason. There's no noticeable bumps there, but the car goes light and you start to break traction a little bit. Drivers are going to have to be careful of that in the race. Then the final two corners where a lap is won and lost. Nice entry into the penultimate corner by Phil G, but hooking up the last one, critical to a good lap. Plenty of curb on the entry, that's perfectly fine. Nice exit there as well from Phil G. Can he improve on his 39.4? He's not going to this time. It's going to be 39.9 though. A great lap there by Phil G. Currently your pole sitter by 6.5 tenths of a second. Sonic Racer then still in that P2 spot. It's a great qualifying session for the Jaguar. He's definitely a wet weather maestro so far. Rob Scott so far not managing to improve on that time. We've got 3 minutes of qualifying left. Enough time for drivers to get another hot lap or two in there. Cutler did improve his time last time out, 40.4 now, but unfortunately wasn't able to do anything further than that, and he's going to come in and get some new tyres on. Banger race on the Hungara, and 12 to first, nice. You know what, I've been looking increasingly at Assetto Corsa. Now I've got the Fanatec. I do want to give it another go. I just remember the setup side of it really annoyed me last time. I'm no good at setting a car up, and from what I've heard and read, the default setups are trash, so I don't know what I'm doing with it, mate, I'll be brutally honest. But I'm happy to jump on for a few laps of you and see how I compete. I'm very interested in the new Fanatec wheel that's come out as well. I think if one thing I'm going to do after this race is go and have a look at it and probably get a pre-order in if such things are happening. What I need to tell you about though is the Aston Martin. I put it on P2. Britsberger really getting this car working, as I need to put my controller on charge. Really getting this Aston Martin working, and 39.9 on his latest lap there. Now of course one reason why the lap times you're seeing are starting to creep down for a lot of cars, they have been burning fuel away this entire session, so all cars are regulated to leave the pit lane initially at the start of qualifying with 100 kilos of fuel loaded on board the car. They can then choose to burn that fuel off or top it up or whatnot. But in the process of doing the laps that you've been watching over the last 14 minutes, they've been burning a lot of that fuel away. In some cases up to 50 kilograms worth of fuel has been burnt, and that has made the cars infinitely lighter. Britsberger improves again. He goes to a 39.6. Puts him within 2.5 tenths of Phil G, but Phil G still looking to be the man to beat here in the Honda NSX. Definitely a man who's got pace here at the Red Bull Ring. Sonic Racer in the Jag, third for him. Rob Scott in the Chevrolet, fourth. Cutler fifth at the minute with Lucky Bucky holding down sixth in the Mercedes. He improved last time as well, 40.6. So he chopped another 10th a second off his time. Diablo in the Mustang, P7 for him. He's just going to start another lap now. He's done a lot of fuel burning in this session. D-Dot, a driver currently 1.6 seconds off the fastest time. He's about to break the timing board. Let's see what D-Dot's doing. He is up on his time, but he needs a bigger improvement if he's going to displace Diablo from that 8th position, but we'll keep an eye on it. Gwyn, 41.1 for Gwyn in the Jag. He's in 10th minute. MRC Buddy's had enough for qualifying, 41.2 for Buddy, with Duco, who's really struggled in this qualifying session. He's 2 seconds off pole in the Mercedes, and yeah, your championship leader doesn't look to be on the ball this time around, I'm afraid. And we've got Quinn. Quinn's 13th, and Sean's he's in the pits. He's going to need to come out. His time will count, but he's going to be like 13th or 14th. So what can D-Dot do? He's given up on the lap he was setting. He's 9th then, so he didn't manage to leapfrog Diablo. Phil G started, and now he's given up. Britsberger's given up as well, so they might be choosing to do some practice starts down here. That's what Britsberger's doing. So Britsberger's got to try and get that heavy Aston Martin away, and that's one thing we're going to that's one theme we're going to see here. The start's going to be pretty crucial for a lot of drivers. I'm surprised we're not seeing more of them doing practice starts while they're regulated to. I'm really surprised at that. unless I've been practicing it in the interlude while we've been away. But your pole sitter then, Mr. Phil G, 39.449. Yep, no worries, Hunty. Yeah, well, you know what, it was weird that I managed to buy Fanatec kit and the V3 pedals, and then sold my Thrustmaster pretty quickly, so it didn't end up costing me like as much as it would do buying it all out. I got a decent deal as well on the Fanatec, so I did alright on it, mate. I did alright. All my group chats are lighting up with this Fanatec stuff. Anyway, here we go then. Race 1 here in the Team Oliver Racing GT3 League. Round 6 here from Spielberg in Austria. The start's going to be critical. Traction control, of course, not allowed in this one. It's lights out, away we go. The Mercedes, the Lucky Bucky, got an absolutely blistering start. Immediately gone past the Aston Martin and challenging Phil G up into turn 1. Phil G, though, ducks it out. Phil G's going to go off the racetrack. Spin it round. Oh, no, that's a terrible start for Phil G. He's going to probably take a couple of cars with him. We've got a slow Seamus out there as well. There's another Mercedes turned round. It looks like Lucky Bucky as well. So Lucky Bucky and Phil G. Unfortunately got a bit of a terrible start, but let's just run back up to the front. We've got Sonic Racer, Rob Scott, and even Cutler, who started in 5th position, is up to 3rd and challenging for 2nd place. We've seen the Mercedes with a decent setup can really work in the wet conditions, but it seems to be at the minute the Jaguar Sonic Racer, he's got this really dialed in tonight. He's already 2nd up the road. Let's see if any moves get attempted down the hill, and then we'll have a bit of a recap through the order and see where everyone goes. Phil G trying to get a move made on the Audi there. Britzberger's also down here as well. We can go back and have a look at that start. Hopefully nothing mental happens that I miss, but knowing my luck, it will. So let's go back and have a look at the start. Let's just go on board with Lucky Bucky. In fact, let's jump back to Sonic Racer, who ends up in the lead. Oh, it's an absolute melee of cars up at the front, and Sonic Racer, with patience and due diligence, just manages to peek his way out the front. Takes a bunch of cars at the start, and that Jaguar really working. Cutler up to P2. Rob Scott in 3rd in the Chevrolet. Duco's had a great start as well. Let's see how he got off the line in the Mercedes. So yeah, he was in pretty much last position. Did he avoid all this carnage? Really nice to tidy on the brakes. Little bit of contact at the apex, but I think that could probably be forgiven. Didn't take anyone out, and just really stayed out of trouble. So because he stayed out of trouble, he went from pretty much last on the grid to challenging D-Dot for 4th position, going up into turn 3 for the first time of asking. So he's 4th with D-Dot in 5th. What else is going on? We've got Quinn in 6th, Buddy in 7th, being challenged now by Gwyn in the Jag. Gwyn will be looking at the car up in P1 being a Jaguar. As we've got, is that D-Dot off the racetrack? It is. We can go back and have a look and see. I suspect he might have just outbraked himself coming down the hill. He's going to get overtaken here by Sean. Potentially there's a little bit of contact. Phil G's going to try and zip up the inside. It's a great move by Phil G to get that place back. Oh, and it's messy. We've got to slow Seamus off as well. D-Dot's down in 12th. Lucky Bucky has had a terrible lap. He's had to go into the pits. Has Lucky Bucky and potentially get some damage repaired. But let's jump on board with D-Dot and just see if we can see what happened. So he was running 5th. Did he just... He just didn't shave enough speed off, I don't think. Fair play to him, took himself out rather than take out anyone else, so fair play to that. Roving Island, evening would saw him missing, back next week. Good mate. Yeah, it looks like you're missing an eventful race, but to be fair. Oh dear indeed, Twiggy. Yeah, you could. The script was kind of written for that though, weren't it? It was always going to happen. The top 3 drivers are now 7 seconds ahead of anybody else. Quinn leads the next pack. As Duco gets out, does that car just bog down then coming out of the corners? We've got Britsberger trying to shape his way up the inside of the Jag of Quinn as well. Britsberger does get that move up the inside of Quinn, sorry. And that's going to give Duco something to think about coming into the braking zone. Duco's brakes all over the place, to be fair. Looks like he might go a little bit deep. Gets it tied up on exit though. And the Mercedes driver just able to keep his composure. So coming up to the braking zone then, no, he had to get out the throttle so as not to hit Quinn. And just got a bout of oversteer coming out of the corner and managed to control it. Which was, of course, the important thing, but runs it off the racetrack. Of course, these cars without traction control, they have ABS, but you still lock your brakes though if you're not careful. That's why you're seeing a lot of very delicate braking inputs. Very, very rarely a driver's going full brakes. It's all to do with how you transfer the weight in the wet conditions. If you can just make it so that you're not suddenly loading one corner of the car with all the weight, then you'll be on to an absolute winner. Some corners are better than others for that, as Cutler gets a great run out of the first turn there. Will he be challenging Sonic Racer up into turn 3? Don't like calling it turn 3, it makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't look like he's going to be anywhere near for the time being. Then we've got Britsberger and Phil G. Phil mounting an attack to get back near the top. Him and Britsberger really at the early stages of the race really just need to work together. They've got nothing to gain at this stage by fighting each other. They could do with working together and just trying to reduce that 7-second deficit. Because if they manage to work together and get past Quinn has been slowly catching the group ahead. He's done a decent lap last time out. For some reason Sonic Racer's had an issue. He's got some damage as Sonic Racer. Did he spin it? He did spin it. We just missed it on the replay unfortunately, but Sonic Racer from the lead of the race and now carrying a little bit of damage, and that Jaguar is going to have to limp its way around. Will he pit? It's a good long pit stop here at the Red Bull Ring, and unfortunately Sonic Racer's race is going from bad to worse as he just picks up a boatload of throttle. You see how the car just went light there, and he didn't smash the throttle down. He was still quite gentle, and the rear end just tried to step away from him. So that does hand the lead to Mr. Cutler, with Rob Scott in close proximity. Sonic Racer's choosing to carry on with the damage to his car, but he is going to have a Phil G wildly chasing him back down again. These two guys have managed to get past Quinn, and you got Sean in 7th now. There is a little bit of a tyre difference going on. Sean's using the intermediate compound tyre, whereas other drivers choosing to use the wets. Now in terms of difference, well, they're not exactly night and day in these conditions. We've not got oodles of standing water. We just jump on board with Duco, who's really fell back. Had a bit of a fall back from Grace unfortunately. He's down in 9th now. As we saw the Mercedes run off the road a lap or so ago. So yeah, with the wet compounder tyre, it's very much similar to your road tyre. In there, there's a lot of grooves in there. He's built to displace like 80 litres of water a second, and those tyres on a drying track will overheat very quickly and offer very little grip in a short amount of time. Drivers should be able to just drive offline, get them through the puddles and cool them back down again in these conditions though, and keep them working. The intermediates, you don't necessarily have to do that, but again you're very much at risk of overheating the tyre. The intermediate is more of a cut slick rather than a tyre designed purposefully for full wet weather conditions. An intermediate can quite happily drive on a half dry circuit and not go through too much of a heat phase. But as you can see on the main start finish straight, jump on board with Cutler, there are little pools of standing water here still, but once we get to the top end of the circuit, a lot of that has mostly gone away, which makes the intermediate tyre a tyre that can still work on this circuit. You just have to be a little bit more careful. So the Cutler and Rob Scott battle looks like it might just carry on, but they are pulling out a gap now to Phil G. So Phil, who got himself into third, Britsberger up into fourth. These two, of course, started at the front of the grid at the start of the race. Immediately got involved in some trouble coming into turn one, and they've been fighting their way back ever since. Sonic Racer. Now this is where Sonic needs to just rely on his mental composure. We've seen how anyone here, no one is immune to having a bit of an incident at the Red Bull Ring today, and that could happen to any of the guys. So if Sonic Racer can keep his composure, if someone else has a fall off, he could still pick up points. Sean and the McLarens having a sight as we see D-Dot just run off the racetrack again. Sean having a good race so far in the McLaren. The McLaren should work quite well here. It's a nice balanced short wheelbase car. The only problem he will ever really have is that the back end of that McLaren will like to step out on him under acceleration, but he seems to have it nice and controlled. Quinn in the Mercedes doing a good job as well. Then we've got Diablo in P8, Duco up to 9th now, putting some pressure on the Mustang. And D-Dot, as we saw a moment ago, just running it deep. It's the second time he's done that this race. Like I say, that Chevrolet, it's the front end of the Chevrolet that's letting D-Dot down every single time, and he's struggled throughout the season getting that front end to work on the Chevrolet. He's absolutely no problem in terms of speed and everything else, but and we know D-Dot's a guy that has got pace. So seeing him really struggling in an understeery car, so that team's really not been able to get on top of the demons that have haunted it for the 5 rounds we've already had, and the 6 we are on board with as well. A driver that's had oodles of bad luck at the start of the race was Slow Seamus. He's also got a little bit of damage on that Audi. Lucky Bucky 13 for Lucky Bucky, and Buddy lap 3 pitted, so must have been in to repair a little bit of damage. Cutler then, fastest lap of the race for Cutler at 39.6. He won't need his tyre whispering skills as much this time. We're not expecting any driver to need a pit stop, so most drivers should be able to no stop this race based on tyre wear and fuel consumption, and most will be able to do that. Phil G then, having set his personal best lap of the race, has reduced the deficit to Rob Scott. Did go slightly faster the last lap. The problem is he's running out of time now. In terms of he's 9 seconds behind the top 2, and he's not lapping fast enough to undo that damage in the remaining time of the race. But as we've said about Sonic Racer, if he can just keep his composure, Cutler and Rob Scott might end up fighting. They might end up having some sort of incident. They might drop it on a curb. Easily done here at the Red Bull Ring, as we have seen. So let's keep an eye then on, there was the Diablo and Duco battle that was kicking off, but that seems to have settled down as I get an absolutely awful camera angle here from Quinn's car. So race director just flicked us over there to the Mustang, who takes a very cautious approach into turn 1. Pays dividends though, as he gets a great run on the Mercedes. As you can see, he backed out of the move because he didn't want to end up giving the Mercedes a slipstream going up to turn 3. Instead, Diablo wants that slipstream, and he's just going to use it to his advantage here. Pulls out of the slipstream, gets it, doesn't manage to actually get it made there. But Diablo taking a very measured approach as Quinn is all over the... Oh no, there was a little bit of contact there between Diablo. As the 360-degree camera shows us, Duco there was able to take full advantage of the other Mercedes. Actually, Quinn backs out and lets Diablo take the position. Now, obviously, Quinn didn't have any form of incident on purpose. He just got a boot full of throttle on the exit of turn 3. It was just unfortunate that Diablo was behind him at the time and couldn't really get out of the way. So definitely no investigation necessary from the stewards for that, but it is showing the sportsmanship that is on display in the league. So the top 2 continuing to improve their time. So whether this means the wet weather tyres are starting to now come into their heat cycle properly, because they're going quicker and quicker, Phil G on the wets also doing the same. He's just set the fastest lap of the race of 39.456. So these wets must really now be in their prime operating window, and the drivers now have to take full advantage of that, as Rob Scott that lap took a chunk of time out of the top two. Half a second he took out of the top two, and he will now be able to see them. So if we'd have gone on board about 10 seconds earlier, you would have seen Rob Scott and Cutler. He will just be able to see them on the horizon. You can see the spray there ahead of you as the helicopter pans down on the fight between the top two. They have been pretty much inseparable the entire start of the race. 1.2 seconds separates the top two. 8.3 seconds separates Rob Scott and Phil G. But Phil is on a charge. He has been able to drop Britsberger a little bit in those last few laps. Sonic Racer has kept his composure, but he has had Sean closing him down over the last couple of laps. The McLaren, though, will have to take a measured approach into getting this overtake made if he wants to make it a successful one. Oh, he's just trying to push it a little bit too much there. We've got Diablo. We saw a lap or so ago, he's managed to get himself back past Duco. Now, one thing to note, the guys running the wet weather tyres are struggling a lot more with that. Oh yeah, Duco's really struggling. He's really struggling here. We've got especially Duco, he's really struggling with those wets. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that Mercedes is set up very stiff from previous tracks, and I don't really think, and this will be something that they have to cover off in the race debrief, of course, but I don't really think this car's been set up for the wet weather conditions. You typically want a more supple car. Something that can ride the bumps a little bit more, potentially even take some torque out of the differential, so that when you're putting the foot down there coming out of corners and into braking and out of acceleration zones, the car's not squirreling around at you. But looking at the body language of Duco's Mercedes, it seems to be doing that an awful lot of the time. I may be wrong, I may have just called this completely out of left field, but looking at its tyre deg and looking especially how the car is behaving coming out of corners, he'll probably get this one perfect to show me up, but it just doesn't seem happy coming out of corners at all. He's really having to just 90% throttle it all the time, until the car feels planted, then he can put his foot down. That is making that car, they're making those rear wheels wheel spin up all the time. Anyway, we will see. He may make some adjustments coming into race 2. Of course, looking at the weather radar, 5 laps to go here at the Red Bull Ring. We are this rain shower is due to finish, and we are starting to see a dry line forming on parts of the track now as well. So by the time we start race 2, we should be looking at a dry circuit. Battle between the top two then, as of yet unresolved. They are still 1.5 seconds apart from each other, lapping similar times as well. Phil G, that lap went even faster, 39.3 for the Honda NSX driver, and he's really putting this car to work now. Pulls out another second on Britsberger and reels the top two in now. 5.8 seconds is the gap between second and third. When Phil G got into third, that gap was just under 10 seconds. So he's really putting this Honda to work, giving himself the best opportunity to get further up that podium. But he's got to be careful though, because one mistake can land you in infinite peril. What else is cooking? So Duco, he had a great start to the race, but unfortunately his race has unfolded a couple of times, and I know he does a fair amount of karting. He will be very familiar, being a karting man who lives in England, he'll be very familiar with driving a slippery car on a wet surface. But rather unfortunate for the Mercedes driver, for some reason his car just doesn't seem to like it. And we've seen a Mercedes can work here in the wet because one is currently winning the race, so it leads me to believe it's probably more of a setup thing than anything else. So Cutler then extends his gap So the gap is now 2 seconds between Cutler and Rob Scott, so he puts another half a second on him. Rob Scott this time just managing to drop another half second or so to Phil G. Phil though now only with a handful of laps remaining to do anything about the cars ahead. Now he may well be relying on the cars ahead having a bit of an issue. Either way, he's doing everything within his power to catch the guys ahead. So this will be something that may evolve in the last couple of laps, and we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Britt Sprigger in the Aston Martin doing enough to maintain P4 at the minute. There's no real threat from behind. He just needs to concentrate on keeping himself on track. I don't think he'll be too disappointed with a P4, but knowing he started the race further up, he may walk out of this one disappointed. The most disappointed award for the day though will go to Sonic Racer. He will be kicking himself after that incident earlier on, leading the race convincingly so as well, in a Jaguar that really did seem to work. Of course now he's given that front right corner a bit of a whack. The car's not been happy in left-hand turns at all. Fortunately, with it being a clockwise circuit, it's mostly right-hand turns, so he has been lucky in a sense that he hit at least the right corner of the he's hit the right corner of the car, not the left one. If it was the left one, he would have been in a bit more trouble. He has had the mad Australian chasing him down though, Mr. Diablo in the Mustang. Mr. Diablo's not really got that much time left to do anything about the Jag in P5, but seems to have just pulled enough away from D-Dot in P7. D-Dot in the Chevrolet has struggled in this one, but he's getting that car to work. He's getting increasingly comfortable with it. 40.3 not so long ago, so he's pumping in good lap times. Oh, Duco again, we just cut through him just as he gets a boot full of oversteer coming out of the final corner, and that's going to drop him into 9th with Gwyn and the Jag going through. Is Gwyn and the Jag? Sorry, no, he's in Mercedes, isn't he? Oh no, he is in a Jag. Duco's going to go straight for that position back though. He's feisty, but Gwyn gets the cutback move made. So nice driving there from Gwyn in the Jag just to get that Jag up to P8. Lucky Bucky, another driver that may walk away from this a little bit disappointed. He had a fantastic start and was just involved in that melee at the start of the race, and unfortunately he's just been on a recovery drive ever since. Slow Seamus doing what he's been seemingly doing for most of the race, and that's spinning it out of turn 1. He's been carrying a little bit of damage as well, and this damage is on the front left corner, so that will be giving him some issues. Sean, what's happened to Sean? 229 lap 10, so I think Sean may have either pitted or had an issue, and I hope he'll tell us later on in the race, because Sean, yeah, he was running up near Diablo earlier on in the race. MRC Buddy, driver that was running at the back for most of the race, and yeah, he's starting to recover that a little bit now, so he's up to P11 at least. Quinn, lots of damage to that Mercedes, unfortunately for Quinn. He's down in 13th, with the Spin Meister himself, Slow Seamus, in 14th position. So let's jump back up to the top. Cutler still leading the way. 2.3 seconds is the gap. The gap between Rob Scott and Phil G. Phil had a terrible lap 13, a 41.2. Terrible by his standards, our lad. So yeah, it was a full second slower than Rob Scott that lap, so I think Rob at the minute is doing enough. This of course being the penultimate lap. All Rob really needs to do is keep it on the black stuff, and that's a P2 for him. Do we have any potential brewing last lap battles? We've got a car off. It's hard to see from this position who that car is. It's Slow Seamus again. So Seamus in the Audi, just yeah, he's going off-road in that car. Maybe he'll have better luck in drying conditions next time out. See, I just want to look at the tyre wear. So Duco's on full wet tyres in a Mercedes, and he's got on the rear 40% wear Cutler, same compounder tyre, same car, and he's got about 10% wear on the rear, so that's what leads me to think it's a setup problem. I might be wrong. We might try and speak to the team in the break and just see if we can find out what's been going on, but for the time being, those are my suspicions. So Cutler then, as long as he can keep it on track, looks set to take the win here for race 1 of round 6. Rob Scott, solid P2 for Robert. Of course, none of these drivers that are currently in the top 2 started at the front of the grid. These guys all just managed to keep themselves trouble-free from the start of the race and have just pulled away a gap ever since, really. So consistency and reliability, I would say, have been their friends in this one. So Phil G, that was Phil G putting a lap on slow Seamus in the Audi. Nothing else really cooking. So let's give Cutler the due praise that he deserves. So Cutler then, fantastic race for the Mercedes driver. A pretty much faultless start to finish, as he takes a bit of a drift around the final corner. So the team on the pit wall giving him a bit of a wave. And that's Cutler then takes the win in first race of round 6. Rob Scott, a great P2 for Rob Scott. Phil G, P3 in the end, clambered back to a podium position with Britsberger in 4th position. Great recovery drives from those two respectively. Sonic Racer, a good result for Sonic Racer, despite the fact he'll be walking out with this one thinking he's potentially thrown away a win. Still good points in the bag for the Jaguar outfit. P5 for him. Diablo, the first Ford Mustang, P6 for him. He'll be quite happy with that one, I'd imagine. D-Dot had an eventful race. P7 for D-Dot. P8 for Gwyn in the other Jag. Lucky Bucky in 9th. Again, what could have been for Lucky Bucky is he just about finishes ahead of the other Mercedes of Duco. And we've got Sean in the McLaren. Windscreen wiper still working quite frantically on that McLaren, so we may have had another spat of rain in the last couple of moments. But our weather analysts are definitely predicting a dry race for race 2 here. MRC Buddy takes 12th. McQuinn is currently off-roading. He got a... I think he just thought, well, everyone else has finished, I might as well just rag the handbrake up and have some fun. Just absolutely no grip remaining on Quinn's car, unfortunately. And then slow Seamus, classified 14th position. And a lap down, unfortunately. Of course, now we're going to have the reverse grid race in the next race. So drivers like Sean, Duco, that didn't have a great race 1, have the opportunity now in dry conditions to potentially do something. So we'll see. But congratulations to Cutler, the tyre whisperer. P5 to P1. What about that then, ladies and gents? So rain proving to be an equaliser for a lot of drivers here. Right, that Fanatec direct drive apparently is 349 quid. I'm all over that, mate. I'm having it. That's a bargain. Oh, I'm having that. That's brilliant. I'm climbing wheel just looking at that trailer. I've not seen the trailer. I'm connected back to chat, by the way, if you have dropped a message in the last 20-30 seconds. Yeah, right, so race 2, let me just bring the info that Mr. Potter kindly sent. So race 2 then, 10-minute break we're going to have, so we'll probably start just before past. It's going to be 22 laps. Yeah, we are definitely predicted better weather. And race 2 is where things get interesting. So we're going to have the drivers are going to be given 70 kilos of fuel to start the race with. So that pretty much forces them into running a definite pit stop race. They cannot no stop this one. It's physically impossible. They are not allowed to pit for a change of tyres until the end of lap 5. And they've got to use 2 different compounds of tyre. So they can run a soft and medium, a medium and a hard, a soft and a hard. It doesn't matter. I've just got to run 2 different compounds. Now, Red Bull Ring traditionally quite what we call a low deg circuit. So it's not necessarily tyre limited. Of course, that's very much setup dependent. Anyone that watched the Monza GT3 hour race at the weekend will tell you how much setups impact tyre wear. The fact that they had an absolute bucket load of tyre blowouts just because the cars naturally run a lot of negative camber. If everyone does that and suddenly you strap tyres that have heat cycling problems on, you're going to have a lot of punctures, and that's exactly what happens. So that can affect the tyre wear for these guys. They will of course consider that with their teams and engineers prior to the race. So yeah, we'll see what everyone's got, but it's going to be hard to factor out drivers like Sean and Duco for race 2, purely on the fact that they're going to have a grid slot higher up the order. We know what Duco's like on a dry track in that Mercedes. It's the wet track he really seemed to struggle with. So yeah, we'll see. We will get the answers to all those questions and more though in about 5-10 minutes time. While we're doing that, I am just going to I'm just going to get a drink. Yeah, we're waiting. Dry track. Yeah, let's get rid of this rain. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, so that crap. Anyone that's just heard a crash, I forgot I'd loaded something sideways in my fridge and it's just fell out. I put a bottle of water in here to cool down and it decided to headbutt something else in my fridge. It's not very handy of it, eh? How dare it? How dare it? I'll put that there. Balance that. There we go, I'm an engineer, look. Oh no, because that don't fit. You know what? I need a bigger fridge. There we go, that works. Right. So you don't normally tune into commentary and hear the guy shouting at his fridge. The observant ones amongst you will have noticed there has been a little bit of chatter in the race chat on your screen. And now what that chatter has been about is ballast. So the top 3 from race 1, so that's Cutler, Phil G and Rob Scott, all have to add ballast to their cars. So the teams are now putting little lead weights in the cars. These lead weights sit effectively where the passenger would in the car. So it's quite centered ballast, but it's still ballast. And for Rob Scott, that's adding quite a lot of weight to his car. For Cutler it'll add even more. Phil G will get away with the least amount of ballast. So the theory is the driver who finished in P1 in race 1 not only has to start from the back of the grid for race 2, but unfortunately for him he gets a ton of weight added to his car as well. So yeah, well, cheers Roving Allard. I mean, I've tried Assetto Corsa before and I didn't get on with it for two reasons. One, graphically it was awful. It was actually giving me a headache trying to sort of drive with it. That's how bad it was. I think I've just been spoilt with GT Sport. And secondly, I could never get a setup to work with a car. Yeah, I just couldn't get it to do it. But look, it's my sort of game, like a proper sim. It's what I want to do. But yeah, I've been debating just waiting until I can get my hands on a PC and doing it that way. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I know, it's just pricing of them at the minute, dude, isn't it? It's like, you can't get a PC at the minute for reasonable money. You can't do it. The graphics cards are just ridiculous money. Because I was looking at building my own, and even with, not even with a great card, I think it was a 1660, which, yeah, it's a good card, but it's not like, it's not massively future-proofed. Decent, like, I think it was a Ryzen 7, 32 gig of RAM, because I want as much RAM as I can fit on the motherboard. Not even much fancy sort of RGB everywhere. And with a 16, it was still like 1400 quid. So it kind of priced me out at the time. So I definitely want one though, because I think it'll be better for streaming. The streams will be better because I can run the stream through the PC rather than doing it direct through the PlayStation. So I can have like overlays on screen for you, and we can have like little alerts that come up, and like D-Dot's streams are like way more professional than mine. Like he's got all the kit, so been faffing with McLaren set up on brands for ages, still getting slammed every race. Yeah, man, it's the 720S. I'm assuming you mean that one, not the GT4 one. I found that what I found with that last time I played it, apparently I was, and you've probably worked this out already, but apparently the steering angle on the McLaren's a lot shorter. So you have to set it to like 540 on your wheel, and then do it that way. I don't know. But yeah, I do want to get onto Assetto Corsa. What I might do, when I've got time, and that unfortunately isn't anywhere anytime soon, but I'll like go live on it, and then I can get some of you lot on helping me, because I will be useless, and just talk me through it a little bit. It's like Idiot's Guide to Assetto Corsa sort of thing, because I need all the help I can get. Yeah, I do want to get a PC though, get on like Assetto Corsa on there, and iRacing potentially. The only thing that puts me off of iRacing is the cost, because it's just ridiculously expensive. They've definitely like got the EA model down, haven't they? in terms of like, here's the game. You can have the game relatively cheaply, albeit being a yearly subscription. Oh, you want a car? Yeah, 30 quid, please. It's just no. I don't dispute it's really good, but no. Yeah. I have got quite an aged PS4, dude. So I'm under no illusion that as far as like equipment goes, I'm at the lower end of the spectrum, especially when you compare it to PC. Like in terms of gaming performance, you'll struggle to get a console that even comes close to a PC. It just hasn't got enough power to process everything Assetto Corsa does. And I get it, like on the console, Assetto Corsa, they had to, because they wanted the physics and the proper, well, I say the more simulation based stuff to be right, they had to then sacrifice frame rate and stuff as well. I get it, I understand, but it doesn't mean that I find the game enjoyable because of that, you know. But we shall see. I enjoyed it though. I think I did a few laps, like I think I just took a Porsche around Spa a few times, like, you know, a basic setup. I was nowhere near the times I'd get on GT Sport, but it was good fun because the car you feel a lot more alive, and I bet the Fanatec on there you get a lot more force feedback through it as well. Because at that time I was still on my old Thrustmaster, which granted good wheel, but the Fanatec's force feedback is better. It's just a bit more involved. Into the 29s on a dry track, so the weatherman was right. Those clouds are dissipating into the ether, and we are starting to see proper dry. Of course, the driver's now on full slick tyres. Of course, the engineers will have, if they have, of course, set the car up for wet conditions, they will be quickly able to revert the car back to a dry setup. It can be done relatively quickly these days with modern technology and tools and equipment and stuff. So just been able to adjust the dampers probably electronically on a lot of these cars now, and in terms of differential settings, they're all done via the ECU as well, so it's a lot of it is just plugging a laptop in and dialing in the settings you want. Because now we'll see, I think we'll start to see the best now from a lot of the drivers that we didn't see the best of in race 1. Like, we know drivers like D-Dot can pilot a car, Sean can pilot a car, Duco especially. I'm going to be watching him this race because, well, he's already gone P3 in terms of practice time. Yeah, so we'll see what they do. It's probably becoming my catchphrase, isn't it? We'll see, because I say it a lot, but it's true. We'll find out very soon what these guys have got to offer, because we're getting on the way in a minute. As soon as this stream finishes, I'm going onto the Fanatec website and I'm going to see if I can pre-order that direct drive thing, because it looks mega. 8 Newton meters of torque. It's pretty decent, to be fair, isn't it? I love how it comes with a table clamp. Why would you? I just don't know when it's released. Right then. We are nearly go for race 2, this time 22 laps. Those laps will pass us by a little bit quicker though, in terms of we're now going to be going about 10 seconds a lap faster than we were before. Some rules to take in mind during this race, but let's get the start and the first few laps out of the way before we start bothering about rules. The reverse grid then, the top 3 from last race also have ballast. So this is going to mix things up a little bit in the Mature Racing Club Team Oliver Racing GT3 League in association with We Are Driven. And it's going to be Slow Seamus getting the prime position on the grid with Quinn alongside him. Again, a good start here is necessary for a lot of the cars that don't have traction control still. Slow Seamus actually got a brilliant start. His buddy in the Mustang that really got a bad one, and oh, we've got one of the Jaguars off into the wall. Fortunately, he didn't take anyone with him. We might well choose to go back and have a look at that. He was on the grass. I'm sorry, but with some of this, I'm lost for words. Right, let's just keep up with the action anyway. But I need to go. I'm sure it was Buddy's car there that just launched into the air. We've got Quinn. Oh, Quinn's given Sean a bit of a tap. That's going to back the entire pack back up then. Britsberger in 5th. We've got Duco still in 7th. Not had a great start on his Duco, I'm afraid. Who else have we got? Rob Scott with that added weight. That is now a thick boy, that car. P11 for him, with Cutler in 12th, Sonic Racer in 13th. So had a terrible start, and then Gwyn in 14th and last. Let's go back and see if we can have a look at what happened to Gwyn. So this is a start. Yeah, he had to go on the grass, but he just kept his foot in it. That's the problem. He kept his foot in that. What happened to Buddy as well? Because his car just bounced up in the air. Oh no, it was Diablo. It was Diablo's car. It just decided it wanted to fly away. Slow Seamus leads the race, and Seamus, you can clip that for your own little bank. Followed by Lucky Bucky in P2 with Sean in 3rd. He's had a great start in the McLaren. Britsberger chasing down the Aston Martin in 4th. Does he go for a move up into turn 3? Sean going defensive in the McLaren. Britsberger's gone off the long way around if he wants this move to be made, but Sean looks to get quite a tidy exit, but the Aston Martin just got an absolute drive out of that corner there, up into 3rd. Duco also having a great time of things. He might have even performed a bit of a double overtake there. We might go back and have a look at that, because I just saw the leaderboard change. So it's Duco up to 7th. Let's go back and have a look. So he was in 9th. Nice and tidy there by Duke. Unfortunately, Phil G just ran it really deep into turn 3 with that extra weight. Again, we will touch on that. The Audi working well though so far, leading the way ahead of the Mercedes of Lucky Bucky. Britsberger is beginning to charge them down, but he's bringing Sean with him in the McLaren. Sean is also bringing Buddy with him in the Mustang. So we've got in the top 5 different cars represented. We've got an Audi, we've got a Mercedes, we've got an Aston Martin, we've got a McLaren, then we've got a Ford. Quinn then breaks it with a Mercedes, then Duco in yet another Mercedes. Diablo, oh, Phil G goes for an almighty lunge down the inside there. Phil again, is he just getting used to this? What happened there? For some reason my audio is completely messed up when I go on board. 1 minute. Let me try again. No, it's not a problem with your set, ladies and gentlemen. For some reason the audio is not working for Phil G's car. He ends up collecting 2 cars for the price of 1 there. So not quite sure what the deal is with Phil G's car. Let's get. Well, hello there, Martin. Well, hello. So back up to the top then. Slow Seamus, Lucky Bucky starting to scrap a little bit. We've got Britsberger out there as well. Now don't forget one thing that I haven't really touched on too much yet, is tyres. And our drivers will have had free choice of tyre coming into the race. They could choose either the soft, the medium or the hard compound. That tyre they will need to then change to another compound at the end. So if you're running the soft tyre here, you are nailing your intention to the wall to be a little bit slower in the second stint. You will want to extend the first stint as much as possible. Most drivers here will only want to do a 1 stop if they can potentially get away with it. They're going to be fuel limited, so a lot of cars yeah, you might see quite a bit of fuel saving going on in this race, because I think Red Bull Ring from memory is quite fuel heavy. Now Lucky Bucky then might have to do some defending here against the Aston Martin. Let's see D-Dot and someone else having a bit of a ding dong do. That's Duco. Unfortunately not having a great race. He's got some damage, Duco. Oh, he's hit the wall. He's hit the wall. It's coming out of turn 3. That's unfortunate for Duco. He's got some big damage. So had Quinn. Quinn's already pitted. And Gwyn. Quinn and Gwyn both pitted there, and they've yeah, they've had a bad day, I'm afraid. Quinn, we obviously saw. Gwyn, sorry, we saw at the start. Getting my names all wrong in race 2. So it's the Aston Martin of Britsburg. You're going to try and get a move made on the Mercedes of Lucky Bucky. Can anything be done? Coming up to turn 3 then. One thing to note is that Lucky Bucky's still getting a better slipstream from the Audi ahead. Goes defensive into turn 3. Let's get the 360 camera potentially going for this one. Lucky Bucky goes very deep. Lucky Bucky actually nails himself going into turn 3. That wasn't any. Well, I'll explain this because that doesn't paint Lucky Bucky in a great light. So what you got to bear in mind here is the overspeed that Lucky Bucky's got. Now he knows going left will hit Seamus, and if he went right, as he did, he would definitely avoid the Audi, and he would only nerf himself. So Lucky Bucky's, it looked from the third person as if he was trying to nail the Audi. He was in fact trying to avoid the Audi, but he's put him down to P4 unfortunately. That will have given Britsburg, it has given Britsburg the advantage in the Aston Martin. He's now up to P1 with Seamus in P2. Seamus must be said having a great time of things at the minute. The Audi really working. He is pushing it quite hard though. We've got Buddy in P3 at the minute. Lucky Bucky down to 4th, as we saw Diablo in 5th, but Diablo is the first of the runners out on the medium compound tyre. So he will naturally be slower. Always he gets a big tank slapper coming out of the final corner. So yeah, he's going to naturally be a little bit slower anyway. Rob Scott also out on the medium compound tyre. He's in P6 with D-Dot in 7th. D-Dot's on the softs, but he's carrying a little bit of front aero damage. Sean, another driver that's on soft compound tyres, in 8th. Cutler in 9th running soft compound tyres as well. Sonic Racer in 10th running softs. Phil G got a lot of damage, but as it's the end of lap 5 he can pit for his tyres, so his crew's got a set of tyres ready for him. Duco choosing not to pit at this minute in time. Picks up a little bit of a penalty though coming out the final corner for his efforts. So yeah, in terms of strategy, anyone that's on softs right now will want to make this stint last. They won't want to go onto these mediums too early. As we see Sean and D-Dot go to work. Sean and the McLaren just able to sweep round the outside of D-Dot. And these two drivers have had a little bit of contact early on in the race. Meet again, and this time Sean manages to get his way around the Corvette. No, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Martin. That's the entire point of the league, mate. Fun, enjoyable racing. That's what we want to promote. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. You will always, like, and it's happened to me as well, because I've driven in the league for a long time now. This is I joined season 8, I think. It's 5th, 6th, 7th season. So yeah, I've done a few. You'll have races that you don't enjoy, races that you potentially encounter someone that does a bit of a dirty move on you or something daft like that, but I think the key thing to remember is that 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a good time, you know. Who was that we saw stricken? Phil G. So Phil's not repaired that damage, which seems very odd to me. Whenever I go on board with Phil I can't hear his car. It's a very strange issue I'm having with Phil, but he's not having great luck so far today. He's going to pit again. Is he pitting to repair damage? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. He should have repaired damage in the past pit, unless there was an issue somewhere. Nothing flashed up on race control screen, nothing daft like that, so there's no reason to believe that it's serving any penalties in the pits or anything like that either. But the Honda team have gone from having a great result in race 1 to the car just really not working in the dry conditions. The opposite issue. Another car that's not working in dry conditions is the Chevrolet D-Dot. Unfortunately, his race not going to plan at the minute. He's got the Jaguar Sonic Racer all over the back of him. Sonic Racer looks for a move up into turn 1. The good news for D-Dot, I guess, or Sonic Racer actually doesn't get the move completed. I was going to say D-Dot can then just slipstream him straight back again. Cutler down in 10th, got a little bit of damage on board that car. Looks like he might have picked that up on lap 6. Worth noting, Cutler has a very, very, very heavy car. That affects not only his overall pace in terms of acceleration and braking, but it will also have a significant impact on how that car wears its tyres. Duco, we saw give the wall a bit of a slap a lap or so ago. Another driver that's just really struggling with, in fact no, he's not actually that bad. I'm going to retract what I was about to say. I was going to say seemingly getting a lot of tyre wear, but for 8 laps that ain't bad at all. He's just had a little bit of bad luck so far. Britsberger then, man of the hour so far, starting to really pull a gap away at the top. After 8 laps the gap is 3 seconds, and don't forget he's carrying ballast. Oh no, he's not. He finished 4th, didn't he? Yeah, so that's probably why. Yeah, he came from near the back of the grid anyway. So special mention to Slow Seamus, who in this race is proving to not be very slow. He has been consistent as anything this time around. He's having a really good start to the race, and hopefully I'm not commentators cursing the guy as Buddy gets a slap of oversteer coming out of turn 3. We just caught that in the background. That's going to give him a little bit of damage. Oh, he just avoids taking Phil G out as well. Phil G, who's had a lap put on him by a lot of leaders now. So MRC Buddy running 3rd at the time of this happening. Oh, just goes on that exit curb. Maybe still got a little bit of water on it from earlier on, but yeah, that's going to give him a little bit of damage. He's probably going to carry that damage until he pits. He might as well. Rob Scott, another heavy boy. What will he choose to do with those medium tyres? Will he pit soon, or will he try and carry those mediums a little bit longer? Who knows? So Phil, unfortunately, a lap down, but now with a damage-free car. I want to say there was an issue in his pit stop, because it's unlikely that he voluntarily didn't pit to fix damage and then came in a lap later to fix damage. That's not likely. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that there was an issue there. So coming towards the end of lap 10 now, approaching the halfway point of the race, we are starting to see fuel lights flashing. Teams are running out into the pits. Looking forward to welcoming some cars in. I think I can see the Aston Martin team down there, the Audi team's down there as well. So yeah, we're starting to see some drivers think about pit stops now. So if 70 kilos of fuel has comfortably made them go 10 laps, yeah, it's definitely a pinned on one-stop race if you can make the second set of tyres work. So those that are on the softs now will have to either take the medium or the hard. I'd imagine most will take the medium. I can't imagine anyone needing to take the hard here at the Red Bull Ring. And anyone that's on the mediums, so Diablo, in a very good position to pick up some spots. He will probably peel himself off into the pits now, get some softs on there. He's got to make them last 2 laps longer than the other guys did, but he's still in a good position. He did a good job on his fuel as well. So, buddy in the pits. Rob Scott's going to carry on for another lap. He's the king of fuel saving at the minute. He's still got enough fuel to do another lap on board that car. So he can potentially do the overcut, do one lap less on the softs towards the end of the race. Of course, he's on the mediums right now. Sean's doing the exact same strategy but on the softs instead. So is Sonic Racer. Sonic Racer's also doing a grand job on his fuel saving. Still seeing some cars in the pits. There's Quinn and Duco still battling it away. This might make the championship fight rather interesting then, because Duco's thrown away a lot of points this week. Yeah, that's going to make it interesting. I'm going to be interested to follow the tables. Coming into this one, Duco was ahead. I haven't actually checked the tables. I'm assuming that based on how it was before, but I'm pretty confident he was at the top. I might go and have a look at the end of it. We'll see. In fact, I'll tell you what, next week, the next stream, next Wednesday, I'll fire it up 5 minutes earlier than usual, and we'll have a proper run through where everyone stands and all that sort of stuff. How's about that? Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, let's do that. I will also put the tables on Facebook and Instagram if I remember it, so you can have a look for yourself. So CJW Racing over on Facebook and Instagram. I tend to put my own race reports on there and announcements of streams and stuff, so it's worth going to follow. Probably more active on Instagram than anything else, because Facebook does my head in. Pleased as they're breaking my guns this week. Like, yeah, I know, Martin, I know, mate. Yeah, look, I get it, dude, and that's kind of what I was referring to subconsciously, because that is another good league, but sometimes you just have a bad night. Sometimes you're just the victim of someone's impatience, or you just caught up in someone else's incident, or you just get a bit of bad luck. Like, it happens, dude. You know, you can't walk away from that feeling like you've done anything wrong. You've just got to reshape and come back next time. You know, and I speak from experience for that, because the exact same's happened to me. Like, I've lost my head a few times as well, and you just walk away and come back next time. It's the only thing you can really do. So halfway point has been and gone. We've still got Rob Scott and Sonic Racer to make a pit stop. Rob does have the softs to take now. He's going to come into the... There he goes. I thought he was going to miss the pit stop then for a second. Yeah, Rob's going to have less laps to do on the softs, which means they're going to be fresher, and he can probably afford to push on them a little bit more. I wasn't being condescending about mine, I was just, you know, I know how I can come across sometimes, so I'm very cautious of it. But yeah, I know what you mean. Keep at it though, dude. Like, it's good to have you in the league. Well then, so we'll wait for the pit stops to cycle through. With these two race formats, the strategy's always slow Seamus. Oh no! Come on, mate, keep it together. Let's bring that podium on, mate. You crayon eater racing. Love to see you lot up on the podium. What was I going to say? Yeah, strategies. Anyway, at the endurance races, it's interesting because the tyre rules are very straight. They're a bit more open in this league, in the sprint feature format, which again I fully approve of. It just means that there is one definitive fast strategy, which is what they're all doing really, which is drag your first stint out as long as you can without losing pace, and then go from there. Your tyres are dictated to by your starting position, sort of thing. Right, so I think all pit stops have cycled through. That's Britzberger put in a lap on Phil G again. Phil G would have probably unlapped himself during the pit stop, so that's just the Aston Martin doing it once more. He holds an 8-second lead ahead of Diablo. Diablo, of course, now on the soft tyre. So his first hot lap time is a 29 something. So he's got 8 laps essentially. 10 laps or so to reel in the Aston Martin ahead. We'll see if he can do anything about them. He's underfueled a little bit as well, I've noticed. So slow Seamus in the Audi, P3 for Seamus at the minute is 5.4 seconds ahead of Lucky Bucky in the Mercedes. Lucky Bucky does have the immediate attention of Rob Scott though in his thick boy Corvette. This car of course carrying success ballast from race 1, so it will just feel cumbersome, heavy, lethargic, in and out of braking zones all the time. It just won't feel like the car is used to driving, so adapting to that is going to be a challenge in itself. MRC Buddy, P6 for Buddy at the minute in the Mustang. That Mustang seems to be a good all-round car. It tends to work pretty well on all circuits. It was absolutely OP at Tokyo. And then we've got Sonic Racer in the Jag, P7 for Sonic Racer at the minute. We've got Sean in 8th on the medium compound tyre now, with D.9 seconds behind him in 9th. D.Dot is just ahead of Cutler. Cutler of course carrying an absolute bucket load of success ballast. So this is a car that now on the medium tyres will just feel unresponsive to drive. It will drift wide out all the time. It will not feel happy at all, but Cutler at the minute, who did start from the back of the grid, essentially had nothing to lose this race, and it's just a case of damage limitation for him, I guess. Duco, Cutler's competitor in the league. Duco currently 11th, 30 seconds behind Cutler. He is 5 seconds ahead of Quinn. Gwyn 13th. Close to being lapped now, unfortunately for Gwyn. Phil G, who is already a lap down. And yeah, Phil's day's not been great. I'm sure he'll be leaving a comment somewhere on Facebook. He normally does. He'll probably be swearing at himself, but one thing I really like about Phil is he always comes back next time and tries again, and we know from previous races that's a guy there that's just got pace, but he's also got some bad luck in his closet as well. So maybe he needs to go and see some like magician or some like hypnotherapist to get it all out. I have no idea, but either way, the bad luck that he's been on in this season so far, what could have been for Phil G, definitely has the pace to be contesting near the top of the order a lot of the time. Maybe he needs to ditch Honda Racing next season, who knows. Like Red Bull did. Says Bricksberger putting a lap on the Jag. It is my displeasure to report to you that slow Seamus in the Audi is being convincingly caught by Rob Scott in the Chevrolet. Rob, who has also caught and overtaken Lucky Bucky. So Rob Scott, despite the fact he's got a very, very heavy car, seems to be making it work, and that adaptability I was talking about earlier is something that he's really got his head around. So he's reeling the Audi in, and he's on potential terms now to get a double podium. So time will tell, of course, for Rob Scott. But with 4-6 laps remaining in this one, and the pace that Rob Scott is catching the Audi at seems an almost given. The thing is, once he gets to slow Seamus, the car ahead of him is Diablo, who's on softs, and will be a lot harder to catch. One ace that Rob Scott's going to have in his sleeve though here is because he was able to string out that medium set a little bit longer without losing too much pace. So slow Seamus makes a mistake, and that is going to allow Rob Scott the inside. So unfortunately for slow Seamus, out of the podium positions now, but he held a podium position convincingly for 17 of 22 laps. So he can at least have that one. He led the race for a while as well. Who else have we got? We've got Lucky Bucky out in 5th. He's having a good race so far. Long may it continue. what else is going on in terms of track action? We have the battle between D-Dot and Cutler, so can Cutler reel in the Chevrolet? He has of course got better tyre wear than the Chevy ahead, so it might just be a case of waiting for the Chevrolet's tyres to start to fall off a cliff. Time being though, the Chevrolet holding its own, but the Mercedes looking like it's eyeing up a challenge. Phil G at least up a position, so despite the fact that Quinn's got big damage in the Jag, and I don't know where he got that. I'm going to assume out of turn 3, but big damage on the Jag. He's going to have to pit to get that fixed, unfortunately. I like the nice little touch. You've got the Sabine Spitz decals on that car, which I really appreciate you doing. Sabine, of course, who we lost not so long ago, so he's going to have to get himself in the pits, and the Jaguar team are going to have to pull out all the stops to get that car back on the road. They should be able to do it. They're very comprehensive. Maybe he needs a fix. We'll see. We'll go back to him and have a look. So, can Rob Scott get Diablo? 28.8 last time around for Rob Scott. Diablo 29.6. The gap is 6 seconds and slowly falling. Now, contributing factor to that, ever so slightly, Rob has slightly better tyres under him than the other American muscle car that's currently in P2. Slow Seamus keeping his gap ahead of Lucky Bucky at the minute, a 4.4 second gap between the Audi and the Mercedes. The Mercedes might start coming to pressure here from Buddy and Sonic Racer. Right, so 5th, 6th and 7th relatively close together. Then we've got Sean P8 in the McLaren. He's had a largely uneventful race. That isn't all bad news, of course, for the digital car culture driver. He's just been lapping pretty cleanly, pretty consistently, just doing his own thing. Cutler then passed D-Dot, as we saw. D-Dot's got a little bit of damage. Oh, he's getting all sorts of sideways. It's Cutler up to 9th, D-Dot in 10th. He's got a little bit of damage. It's probably not worth pitting now for that. Just 4 laps to go. But if you like your streamers, ladies and gentlemen, go and check this guy out on Facebook. D.90 does stream his stuff on Gran Turismo, but also does like Call of Duty and basically more fun, you know, shoot and kill stuff games. So if that's what you're into, go check him out. So top 3 at the minute, not under threat really of being changed. Britisberger leading the way in the Aston Martin. He's been pretty convincing since before the pit stops. He's doing a very good job in P1 at the moment. And comes around to start his 20th lap. It's 3 to go now. Diablo P2 for the man from down under. Morning time for him at the moment, doing a very good job in 2nd place. Not really being caught by Rob Scott either. So Rob might well just have to consolidate 3rd here, but from pretty much the back of the grid, an exceptional drive from the Chevrolet driver so far. Potentially my driver of the race, Slow Seamus, so far at least, done a superb job in the Audi. When you factor in just how goppingly awful his race 1 transpired to be, he really got his head back in the game. Had a bit of a pep talk, no doubt, from the guys in the garage, and just got on with it in race 2, and has really delivered for his team so far. Lucky Bucky though behind him has started to take a little bit of time out of the Audi driver. Now he's not been in an amount enough to worry Slow Seamus at this stage, but it is certainly going to be a factor that may play into how the closing stages of the race pan out. Lucky Bucky has managed to pull away from MRC Buddy, who himself is getting challenged now by the Jagger Sonic Racer as they go side by side into turn 5. Sonic Racer does actually manage to get himself ahead. So Sonic Racer now could be a threat towards Lucky Bucky. We shall see. There's 2 to go at the end of this lap. We've got Sean in 8th position, has recovered. I don't think there's really anything else going on at the back. There's quite a lot of gaps between a lot of the drivers at the back. I do still like to give them a little bit of a watch on stream though. It is only fair. When will Phil G catch a break? Just when will the Honda driver catch his lucky break and get a result on board? Because yeah, he's just not had something's still wrong with that sound on that car. It's like it's a hybrid. I can't hear it. Come to Quinn, look, loud V8, and then you got to fill it. It's just tyre noise. Really strange. So Duco and Quinn potentially involved in a little bit of a battle here. Quinn has much fresher tyres on board his Mercedes than Duco does. Duco runs it very wide there, coming out the penultimate corner. He's going to pick up a penalty for that. The game will punish him for such an audacious manoeuvre, such as dipping a wheel over the curb. How dare you? That does reel Quinn to within a second now. Quinn with a good drive out of this corner. Oh no, he's not a good drive. I'm afraid I was just about to say he could get the slipstream going up to turn 3, but he just pushes too hard and unfortunately drops himself back another couple of attempts, just enough for Duco to make his escape. On his final lap now though, Mr. Britsberger. An absolutely convincing, brilliant race from the Aston Martin driver. 2 fantastic results. So Sonic Race has not proved to be a massive threat to Lucky Bucky, but Lucky Bucky now, although it's the final lap, 1.7 seconds separate him from the Audi ahead. Lucky Bucky could yet pick up a P4. Although there's a bit of me inside that wants Seamus to retain that position, despite the fact I've got a lot of time and respect for both of them. So yeah, Quinn's got 1 more lap to try and get Duco. Britsberger's got 2 more corners to claim the win here in the second race of round 6 at the Red Bull Ring. 1 more turn to go and the Aston Martin crew will hang themselves out the gantry and wave congratulations to Nathan Myers as he drives across the line. P1 by 7.5 seconds ahead of Diablo. He finishes in P2, and then Rob Scott, one of the drives of the race for me, from pretty much the back of the grid with ballast. Superb driving there from the Chevrolet driver to claim another podium. Slow Seamus though, I mean, yeah, granted he started at the front, but compared to race 1, what a result. Lucky Bucky grabs 5th in the end. Sonic Racer in 6th position. He's had another great race as well. Not been without its faults, but he's recovered well. MRC Buddy in 7th. Sean in 8th in the McLaren. Cutler's going to bring it in 9th. He's really struggled with the ballast on that car. He's controlled the tyre management well, but unfortunately he's just not had the raw pace. But he'll still be happy with the overall results from the race weekend. D.90 in 10th. Been carrying damage for a couple of laps. Kind of been on his own for most of the race as well. And as we saw in race 1, there's still some set-up gremlins to fix for that car. Duco's going to bring it home in 11th. Quinn 12th. Phil G has already finished in 13th and Gwyn in 14th. So that's been your lot then from the Team Oliver Racing GT3 League for round 6. We'll be at, I think it's, I want to say Suzuka next. Might be wrong. Someone in the comments can tell me where you're going next. Let me know. Cheers Britsburger for putting my name on your race suit. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you. So two very entertaining races tonight from Red Bull Ring. Two very different races as well. We saw slippy, slidey action all the way through the first race with a bit of an incident right at the start of the race, which really mixed the order up. And then race 2 was just a case of who from race 1 carrying the ballast could perform damage limitation, and we saw some standout performances from Slow Seamus and Britsburger especially, who did a fantastic job in that one. And my driver of the night, I think, probably does have to go to Rob Scott, just because of his performances in both races, I guess. But a close second for Slow Seamus, because he's done really well. Yeah, I think he's done an excellent job. He struggled all season in that Audi, and that first race was horrible. But yeah, he just got himself together. But yeah, we'll see what. I mean, that's going to chomp up the championship. That is. So next week, qualifying starts at 8:30 as normal, but I will be live at about 20 past. I'll make sure I'm free. Yeah, I'll be live at about 20 past. We'll go through. Cheers, Gwen. Cheers, Bretsburger. Yeah, we'll go through sort of the order and everything else, and yeah, we'll go from there. That was fun. Yeah, Phil, mate, I figured you might pop in. You were the source of a little bit of debate tonight in terms of when will your luck change, my friend. When will your luck change? You've had some good races in terms of things have gone your way, but tonight wasn't one of them. Yeah, tonight wasn't one of them, dude. But it's one of them things. It's frustrating because I know you've got pace. Seeing you drive, so I know that you can be up there giving Cutler and Duco some grief, and it's just frustrating that you've not had the luck to go with it, I guess. Right, so that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching and sticking live. We've had we've had some good views all the way through it, so appreciate it if you've watched this all the way through. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a little like button below the video. You can press that and it'll make me very happy. You can leave a comment as well, tell me what you like, what you didn't like. There will also be links in the description of the YouTube video to Mature Racing Club's Facebook page, the We Are Driven Facebook page, and Dark Smoker's live stream of the same round from the Pro League that you can go and watch as well. Push X by mistake. Oh right, yeah, mate, that's happened to me before. You'll be watching back when it's on YouTube. I will be exporting it tonight, mate, but it normally takes YouTube about 5 days to process it into a watchable video. So I'll have it up as soon as possible, man. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me. Appreciate it all the way, and we will see you next week for more fun GT3 action. And keep an eye on the socials. I'll post the tables on there when I get them. And yeah, have a good week. See you soon. Take care of yourselves. Good night.